Jody Jackson with us. All right, I want to get into Pedro. What's the last couple of days? What have you found yourself thinking of in terms of Pedro?
Well, I mean, the initial shock that I had, it was a text from a friend in the sports industry sharing this information, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I just it was just how could he be taken from
Right.
his family? Of course, all of us, love Pedro. He is one of those people that was universally loved and respected, and that is not easy to do, especially in this business, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it really hit me hard. I mean, a lot of people use the term gutted, and it did. It's like a gut punch, and you just think about his family and how much he loved them and loved life. And so it was really hard to get my mind around. I'm not sure it still is even there, because you could always count on if you were going to run into him, and we haven't been running into people as much lately, but
Right.
always smiling, always happy, always like seemingly grateful to be doing this great job that he loved, and he did it so well and very naturally. And it was because I think, Brad, and I know you have thoughts on this too, is that he related to people so well and very genuinely. And I think that's why he did his job so well too.
Yeah, he was someone that it was all about the person across from him. It wasn't all about him. And like last night, I noticed the national news is Jody, not the local news. His local news did stories on him, and they were well done. But the national newses did stories on
Mm.
Pedro Gomez and his passing. And he would never. Pedro was a shorts, t-shirt, flip-flop guy I'd run into at the Safeway out in Ahwatukee, and he was someone that he just wasn't above anybody else. And we've met people in the business that don't you know who I am, and I'm better than everybody else because I'm this and I'm that, and that just wasn't him. And I think he showed his sides, all sides to all people. It wasn't like he was one way to Jody Jackson, one way to Brad Sussmat. He was just, this is who I am. And it was
Mm.
great. It was refreshing. And, as a worker, like I admire you when I go to a Diamondbacks game and I see the clubhouse open and I see you just bounce from one thing to the next, the next, the next, because you're putting a show together. Pedro was the same way in a different form. And it didn't matter if it was back in 2000 or if it was 2019 when I'd see him, he was still the same way, going around in a locker room and coming up with nuggets. And yeah, I mean, for me, it crushed me because I've gotten to know him by doing this and going deep like this for the last, he was showing up every week since 2011 when I started
I
this.
know he was on your show a lot, and that just shows, how much he loved connecting with you and the local people here. Even though he was on this national level, he, I think, reveled in being, a guy that I know. He's from Miami. Actually, he and I used to talk about Dadeland Mall and the stuff in South
Mm-hmm.
Miami that I got to know going to Miami. And then, he was out here, and he just, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I feel, I know. And, I feel for you because I know you were so close to him and spoke with him a lot. And I would see him around town. There was a picture of him and his son when he was little, and he was wearing that Ahwatukee YMCA shirt,
Yeah.
which we've all been there to watch volleyball. My daughter played volleyball there for years, and it's like he just loved doing those family things, just like he did, and he took that into work like he did. That he did his job with a lot of just passion and excitement every day.
He did his job, but like there'd be times where he would talk to Eric about, yeah, I'll come on tomorrow, but I've got to be in Tucson because Rio's doing this, or I'm going to be up in Bend, Oregon, or it was Yakima where Rio went to, I believe, initially for a short season, and he joined us from Yakima, and he was there every week, but and he was always plugged in. It wasn't like you do a segment and he's completely out of the loop. No, he was always plugged in. So the family part of it for him, it's like it's like what I try to do. we get that what we do is important to the audience in being around professional or college or high school sports, but we're not going to miss out on everything with our kids. And we do go through those seasons like you did earlier where you miss some things. And now you're right in your wheelhouse where Friday nights you're there. And Pedro was at, I think, most everything for his kids. That, you know, there were the times like in the playoffs this last year in October, every week he joined me from San Diego. He was quarantined and stuck in a hotel in San Diego because that's where they had the playoffs. There's worse places to be stuck than the gas lamp. You know, there's worse places, but he's like, it's pretty lonely. You know, you go to the game, you come back, you go to your hotel, you bring a box dinner because nothing's open, and that's that. And I think that's what the respect for him. And I'm just curious in what will happen moving forward in terms of somebody's going to come up with the right idea to say, this is how we're going to remember Pedro. I don't know what that will be. I don't know if it's going to be a press room that's named after him or an award that's named after him for media or community service or something here in the Valley, but somebody will come up with the right idea because the outpouring of emotion and love for this guy is beyond what I think he would have ever thought. He would be like, what? I'm on the evening news? Come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it showed me even more. I knew a lot about Pedro and how wonderful he was and knew it firsthand. But then some of the stories, I'm sure you've seen him on Twitter as well, standing up for a young reporter and going out of his way to tell someone, hey, great job, or, you know, and always saying, you know, yes to, you know, over the summer, he came on one of our digital shows on Fox Sports Arizona with Kristen McDougal and I, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know, send him a message. And he was always willing to help other people. Like you said, it was about the other person, and he always saw the big picture. And yeah, I agree. There'll be one or more, many tributes to Pedro, and well-deserved.